I never should have gone into the basement. Even now, I know that. I know that it was a mistake from the first step down the creaking stairs. But at the time, I didn't understand. I thought it was just a basement. Empty, dusty, forgotten. A place to store old boxes, paint cans, and the debris of years gone by. I had just moved into the old house. A small two-story home on the edge of town, cheap enough for someone like me, a 28-year-old with barely a paycheck and a lot of student debt. The previous owners had left quickly. The place smelled of dust and decay, faintly of something else I couldn't place. Something sour. The first few nights were uneventful. I unpacked boxes, arranged furniture, and tried to ignore the groaning of the floors. Old houses creak, settle, release air through their cracks. I told myself it was normal. Until I heard it. The first time it was faint. A soft echo, coming from below me from the basement. I froze. It sounded like a whisper, or maybe it was the wind. Old houses whistle through the gaps in the foundation. That was what I told myself. But then it happened again, louder, clearer. Come down. I jerked back. My hands were clammy, my heart raced. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, that it was a trick of the acoustics, but the voice wasn't imaginary, it was deliberate, familiar, something about it my own name. I spent the next day avoiding the basement. I didn't even want to think about it, but at night it called again, whispering, faint at first, then growing. You know you want to see. I tried sleeping in the living room. My phone was useless. The battery drained mysteriously overnight. The lights flickered. I could hear scratching under the floorboards, around the walls, and always the whisper, come down. The third night I gave in. I went to the basement. The stairs were steep, narrow, and slick with age. The air grew colder as I descended. I brought a flashlight. Its beam cut through the darkness, illuminating nothing but old boxes and cobwebs. I shone the light across the walls. Shelves lined with jars, paint cans, rusted tools, everything ordinary, nothing remarkable. And then I heard it again. Behind the far wall. I froze, my hand shook on the flashlight. I approached the far wall. There was a door there, small, wooden. No handle, smooth, painted over several times. I hadn't noticed it before. Open it. I shook my head. No, no, no. I turned to run, but the stairs seemed further away. The basement stretched impossibly, larger than it should have been. The shadows deepened. Shapes moved just beyond the flashlight beam. I turned back to the door, and then I saw it. A faint outline of a person, not human but humanoid, pale, too tall, slender, staring at me through the wall, through the wood, watching, waiting. The whispering grew louder, overlapping itself, multiple voices this time. Mocking, pleading, crying, and every voice sounded familiar. Not names I recognized, but tones. My own voice distorted, laughing, screaming, begging. I stumbled backward. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure it could be heard through the house. I tried to run, but the stairs had vanished. Every exit I thought I had gone. I fell to the floor, and then it spoke. You belong to the basement now. The floorboards shifted, shapes emerged. Faces, twisted pale, pressed through the wood like wax figures melting into the darkness. Hands reached toward me, cold, solid, real. And then the voices chanting now. My own thoughts reflected back at me, all my fears amplified, screaming. I ran toward the far wall. The door, I grabbed it, cold, solid, pulsing, alive. And it opened. Blackness, not just darkness, not an absence of light. A void that pressed against me, sucking the warmth from my body. Shapes moved within it, hundreds of figures screaming, watching, waiting, and they called my name. I tried to scream. Nothing came. My legs moved on their own, forward, into the black. I don't know how long I wandered. Time ceased to exist. My mind fractured. I could hear myself screaming in multiple voices, echoing through the basement, through the house, through the void. And then I saw it. The basement itself. Not walls and floor, not wood and stone, but a living, breathing thing. Veins of darkness running across the surfaces, faces pressed into every crack, every corner, screaming silently, eyes opening and closing in rhythm with the pulse of the basement. I understood then. It wasn't just a basement, it wasn't just a room. It was alive, patient, eternal, hungry. Every person who had entered it before me absorbed, consumed, and their voices, their thoughts, their essence became part of it, feeding it, preparing it for the next soul. I stumbled, my flashlight dropped. It rolled across the floor, casting twisted shadows that weren't shadows. Limbs, faces, eyes, screaming, laughing, watching. The basement shifted again. The walls rippled like liquid. The floor breathed beneath me. And then I fell. Not to the ground, into the darkness, into the basement itself, into its pulse. I am trapped. I write this down because I know someone will read it. I know someone will come here. Someone curious, desperate, lonely. The basement waits, patient, eternal, hungry. And now I am part of it. I am the whisper in the walls, the scratching beneath the floor, the darkness behind the door. And I am waiting. For the next person. For the next mind. For the next soul. I can feel it now. Not just the basement, not just the walls, not just the darkness, but me or what's left of me. The basement has claimed me, consumed me, and yet I exist, in some form, watching, waiting. It began the moment I fell into the darkness. I expected to hit the floor. I expected pain, but there was no floor, only void, only a cold, pulsing presence wrapping around me, stretching through me. My body didn't move. My mind didn't function the way it used to. I was aware, horribly aware, but not myself. Shapes surrounded me, not shadows, not illusions, faces. Pale, twisted, screaming faces pressed into the darkness. Limbs emerged and recoiled, stretching impossibly long, bending in directions a human body should not bend. They reached toward me, not just with hands but with intent. I could feel their hunger, their need, their voices screaming in unison. Some of them were familiar, not in memory but in essence. Others, echoes of people who had been trapped here long before me. "Join us," they whispered. The pulse of the basement grew stronger. I realized then it had a heartbeat, slow, deliberate, waiting, and every pulse carried the memories, fears, and voices of those it had consumed. I screamed, not aloud, not with my mouth. I tried to fight. My limbs moved, but not on my command. My hands clawed at the darkness, but it absorbed my movements, twisted them. My thoughts, my fears projected outward, feeding the basement further. Then I saw the staircase, my escape. It wasn't real. The basement had formed it from the darkness itself. Steps rising, bending, twisting, inviting me upward. I ran, I stumbled, I grasped the railing or thought I did. My hand closed on air. The voices screamed, "No, stay, forever." I realized the horror of it then. Every previous tenant, every lost soul, every person who had ever entered this house, they were waiting for me to become part of them. And I understood the basement didn't just consume bodies, it consumed minds, memories, souls, everything that made you you. And then it used me, to lure the next one in. I fell again, deeper this time, into a pit that opened beneath the floorboards. I expected darkness, I expected oblivion, but there was more, something alive, something aware, something that smelled of decay and whispered promises of eternity. I could feel my identity fracturing. My thoughts weren't my own. I heard voices inside my head, mocking, screaming, begging. I saw my own memories twisted, replayed, distorted. My fears amplified 1,000 times over. I tried to run, tried to fight, tried to call for help, but my voice had dissolved. My body obeyed the basement now, its will, its hunger. I became aware of a new presence. Someone entering the house, curious, lonely, exhausted, perfect, vulnerable. The basement responded immediately. Shapes shifted. Darkness thickened. Shadows bent the hallway, guiding them closer to the stairs that no longer existed, the door that would not lead outside. I whispered to them. My voice merged with the basement, merged with every tenant before me, every voice I had heard, every thought I had lost, guiding them, luring them, preparing them. Because if I didn't, the basement would consume me entirely. The new tenant reached the basement door. I could see them trembling, unsure, drawn by curiosity, drawn by the same irresistible force that had drawn me. The door pulsed, alive, whispering, calling. "Come down." And I whispered too, my voice not mine anymore but part of the darkness. "It's waiting, come." The floorboards shifted beneath them. Shapes emerged, shadows pressing against the walls, against the ceiling, against their mind. I watched, knowing exactly what would happen. They hesitated. They turned to leave. But the staircase stretched impossibly, the walls bent, and every exit disappeared. The basement was patient, eternal, hungry. They stepped forward. I stepped forward too, not as myself but as part of it, part of the walls, the floors, the darkness, the whispers. The door closed behind them. I felt it then, complete. The basement had fed, and it was already hungry again, waiting for the next. I am no longer human. I am the whisper in the walls. I am the scratch beneath the floor. I am the darkness behind the door. And I am eternal. I wait for the next one. The next soul desperate enough, lonely enough, curious enough to come down into the basement. And when they do, the cycle begins again. Forever.